Hi, guys. Welcome back to Flourish by Design TV on our new season around how to own your power. Hi, guys. Welcome back to our weekly catch up. And I'm so delighted to have you all here again. I hope you had an amazing week. I'm running this on the Monday night instead of the Sunday night because I had a busy weekend meeting beautiful family down in Wexford with the Opera Festival on and gorgeous cousins back from and aunts and uncles back from Scotland. So amazing. So we're a day into the week and I hope you had a beautiful Monday and I hope it kicked off well. So tonight what I want to talk about, just expand again on the topic that we're talking about this season, which is owning your power. And as promised, every week I'm looking at a different area where we can own our power in. There's so many different facets of that so that we can shine bright like a diamond. And tonight I want to talk about how to own the power of your values. And being a communication designer and being an expert in branding for many, many years, and also a spiritual author and educator in learning and development, we really understand on a deep level how important it is to understand who we are. And to understand who we are takes a little bit of discovery and self-discovery around many different aspects of yourself. And one of those is our values. So to really understand who you are and know who you are so that other people can understand who you are and know what you stand for, we need to get clear on your values. It's actually a conversation that we were enjoying having over dinner at the weekend as well with family and talking about this and our values and what we hold dear to ourselves. And it is extremely important during these times because there's so much chaos and so much change and so much turbulence. And when we find our values, it's like finding our North Star. It is that North Star that we hold in the direction of our life. It gives us a sense of direction, but also those around us who can see from our example what we stand for. And that is when you become that natural leader, when I often talk about. But how do we start even wondering about this? What are your core values? Can you actually define them for yourself? And do they need to be looked at again and again and revised or added to over time? Well, when I look at brand management from a business point of view and from an integrity point of view, from any integrous corporation or company, the same as a person, it is important to keep refreshing and redesigning our brand values. So as we grow, we learn more and we understand more about life. So it is very important to keep refreshing that and do a brand refresh every few years. And especially now, I would say with personal development, with personal branding, it's really important to keep refreshing that. I would say even every 6 months to have a refresh and to see where am I in my brand values. So to start us off on that, I wanted to talk about why does it matter? Why are the brand values so important? And I thought this is such a core conversation to have because even the question, why does it matter, alludes to your own value of yourself. So if you feel that you don't matter, then your values don't matter. And that can lead to a sense of low self-esteem and low confidence. And that is something that ripples out from within us. And the opposite is true too. When we have a strong sense of what matters to us, that actually gives us a strong self-esteem and strong sense of confidence within ourselves, because people can see that that person really knows what they stand for, and they're actually standing by that. They're not moving away, and they're rooted in themselves. As I often say, root down to rise up, like a tree, Think of the oak trees, and we use that in Ireland as a symbol of wisdom all the time. Oak tree is rooted in itself, deep down into the earth, and then we see massive bloom on the tree, but it is rooted in itself in the ground. And that's what your values are. Your values keep you rooted. It's very great having community that can help you be rooted in those and remind you of your values as you grow through life. And it's such a beautiful resource to have family, friends, and elders around you to help you remember those values, so that you get swept away by things that are not true to you. So I'd love to say there's 7 steps that can help you to own the power of your values, which lead to your identity development and into your natural leadership. Excuse me. The phone was agreeing with that. So that was my bedtime. I'm past my bedtime. 10 o'clock. So the first one I would say is to discover what they are. So that takes a little bit of deep diving. And what you can do is think about when you really had an amazing feeling in your life. If you felt really, really good, when you really felt good and you felt really good about yourself, can you write down what was that you were emulating in yourself? Did you feel a sense of freedom? Did you feel really connected with maybe people around you? Did you feel, was it a time that when you maybe felt you really were walking your talk and that you had a sense of integrity? Or did you feel that you were really honest about something? That you really shared something from the core of who you are, even though it was difficult? And maybe it didn't land the way you wanted it to, or received the way you wanted to, but you were brave enough to be that, to break the mold and to be the one who said what was in your heart. Or were you really courageous? Was there something that you did you were really proud of the fact that you showed a lot of courage? You're extremely terrified, scared of doing something, but you did it anyway. And you moved past that fear. So Annie, I'd love you to think about that. Have a deep think and see when were the times you felt really good about yourself, not surface good, not a good that just, oh, somebody said I looked nice, or somebody gave me a compliment. Or how did you feel about yourself, your own power, and how you saw yourself in that moment? So dig into that and have a reflection on the whole of your life. And see where you can find those nuggets of gold. And write down maybe 6 or 7. You could also look around the people around you and see what were the something that you really admire in somebody, or maybe in your family. What were those characteristics that really inspired you? That's the first part. Then the second step is to define then, what does that actually mean to you? So I'd like to, out of the 6 or 7, choose 3. So try to discern it down to 3 main values. And in those 3 main values, think about what they mean to you on a really deep level. So I'd say, for example, freedom for me is a really core value. Not only do I love to feel a sense of freedom of expression, that's why I'm on here, and that I love to just come on and express myself and have that freedom of expression, of creativity, and being able to express myself in the way that I feel just bubbles up from within me. But I also live that with my students, because I love to give them a space to have their freedom of expression of who they are as well. Because I want to know who they are from the inside out. And I'm interested in the design of you and what makes you unique in this world, because that is extremely special. So freedom and freedom of expression, freedom to travel, to express ourselves, freedom not to do things that we don't want to do either, freedom to say no, freedom to say yes when we want to say yes, and freedom to say no when we say no, we feel we want to say no. So that freedom. And then I would say integrity is a big one for me. And what does integrity mean? Integrity is walking your talk, saying one thing and doing that, acting. Your actions and your speech is the same. So if you're saying something, you're doing it as well. And that can be extremely difficult, because you might have to walk away from friends. You might have to disconnect from people that you've been close to, because maybe there's a disalignment with values. Or if you want to keep true to your values, then you need to have integrity around that, and not sway into other people's values if it doesn't align with yours. And I would say courage is another one of my, definitely hold myself to that hugely. And I have my whole life, because I was always a very, very shy child. And I remember thinking to myself from a very young age that, Caroline, you have a bit of a problem on your hands. You are really shy, but you have this massive fire inside of you. So what's gonna have to happen here is that I have to move through that shyness to do what I came here to do. So I've always tried to overcome that, even though it's been difficult. And I write about that in the Rainbow Warrior for the kids, and actually adults love that too. And the breathing technique, and how you can move through our fear and to overcome the things that we're scared of, to be larger in the world. So I'd love you to take 3 and to work through those 3, and really to understand what those 3 values mean to you. Now, number 4, well, I would say actually number 3, the third step there is to align your daily actions with those values. So when we've defined our values, are we living through those? And that's our brand, our personal brand we talk about. And I talk about personal branding. I'm not talking about superficial level looking good, looking pretty, looking attractive, having nice fonts and colors, and you've nothing behind it. And you're selling yourself some kind of a fake sense of yourself. That's what branding is traditionally. And people see that word as, no, I'm talking about the brand of you, being true to you in the person that you are, in your heart, in your spirit, in your strength, in who you are as a person, in your spirit. That's the brand of you. That's who you are in your core, not superficial. The true you I'm talking about. And are you brave enough to bring that to the forefront? Because we so badly need that. We badly need that. We need to move away from the cookie cutter version of ourselves, that mass produced identity that we've been indoctrinated into, and be strong enough to come to the forefront in your principles, in what you stand for, working out what you stand for, and be aligned to that. And alignment is about that. So you're getting your 3 core values, and then you're living by those. You're living by those on a daily basis. So you're living a life of integrity, of courage, and of freedom, if that's what you're standing for. That's who you are in the world. So that's how you redesign yourself. You become very conscious of who you are, and that's what you stand for, and that's what you represent. What happens then is that you align yourself with people that are similar to that. I would say that it's the most powerful thing to do during these times, to be the brand of you and to stand by your brand values, because you radiate that essence, that brand essence, the essence of you out into the world, and that match comes back to you. And it takes huge bravery, because it means that sometimes people fall away and habits have to fall away and ways of living have to fall away when we do that brand refresh and realize that there's certain values that, if I'm being living with integrity, don't actually line up. So we're actually becoming a truer version of ourselves, and we were becoming much more confident, because we know that we have control of ourselves and we're taking charge of our identity and of how we show up in the world. Of course, we fall down and we don't always reach that, and we don't always tick all those boxes, and we don't always hold ourselves in that as high as we would like to, because we're not always, because we can be tired, we can have a day where we have a lesson to learn, but in general that we're living a life of principle, and then that affects people all around us. So to be able to achieve that, we do have to set boundaries, and that's our 4th step. So setting boundaries and protecting what matters to us. So that's the part, you're learning about who am I, what do I stand for, and then what do I stand by. So what am I standing by? So if I stand for that, it means that I have to set boundaries around that. So if you were like a queen in a castle, she has her value. She knows that she knows who she is, and she knows what she allows into her life, and she allows what she doesn't allow into her life. So she has those boundaries around her, those healthy boundaries, where she allows in what's healthy and good for her, and she keeps out what's not, because it doesn't align with her values system. And then the 5th is looking at speaking your truth. So that means you're also standing for your values and you're saying what you need to say and finding your voice. And that can be difficult at the beginning when you're starting to, voice your values, but you don't have to say it in a aggressive way. I always talk about and teach about leading with grace. And you can say it with a smile and be really charismatic, or not say anything at all and just walk away from a situation without conflict. You're making a decision with your feet. So you don't often have to get into conflict or have drama. You can just decide in the silence of your own heart that I don't align with this. And then either say something or just walk away. Silence sometimes is the loudest, and it actually makes more of an impression sometimes than lots of words. So speak your truth and make sure that you are constantly being true to you in your values, in your voice. And then reflect. Reflect daily on those values and see how you're doing. How did you do today? How did I do with my values? And especially when something difficult happens, you say to yourself, oh, I could reflect. I could respond like this, in my default. I always talk about into my default or into my design. But if we're designing our life from the inside out, we're designing it around our values, our North Star. We're wanting to get to a destination, our dream, our goal, or the life that we want to create. And that is going to be designed by the values that we have for ourselves in our life. And that can be a constant update on how we did there and how we can improve that and how we can practice. Am I being courageous enough? Where am I being courageous? Can I be more courageous? Can I speak my mind more? Can I be less affected by other people? Can I put up more boundaries and have healthier boundaries if I find boundaries difficult? Can I walk my talk more? So if I hear somebody saying something and I'm not about somebody or I'm not aligned with me, can I say something? Or can I distance myself from people I don't feel aligned to? Or can I step into something that I feel I am aligned to? And that is part of my values, and that you find a new group of people, or you add to the amount of people that you are in your community. You build your community, a larger community of people that are supportive of your values. That is something on a daily basis that you can reflect on and look at those brand values and see, how can I expand that more? And the more you practice them, the more you become known for them, the more you become that, and you're reflecting on your strengths and your weaknesses in that and how you're doing. But over time and sustained effort, you become known for that, and that's what you represent. So your brand of you and owning your power is bringing all that back, instead of being externalized all the time and trying to please people and please everyone. It's complete opposite. It's pulling your power back to yourself and asking yourself the questions. Discovering, number one, what are your core values? What do you hold true to yourself? Number two, defining what those core values mean to you. Number three, aligning with them daily, and your actions are aligned with your values. Number four, setting boundaries around that and protecting what matters to you and protecting the values that you hold dear to yourself. Number five, speak your values, speak from that, act and speak from those values, and protect what matters to you. And 6, then reflect on a daily basis to see how you're doing with that. And I would say do a deep dive every 6 months, maybe a retreat, maybe time away for a few days to really look at that and see, do I need to do a brand refresh? Do I need to look at my values again? How can I be larger in the world? And how do I emulate that leadership in the world? Because what happens is when you become really strong in your values, you become that natural leader, and then you actually have more influence. And it means that you need to be more careful about your values. It means that as a leader, you're influencing more people. So your values become much more important to define and to get crystal clear on, so that people understand exactly what you believe, who you are, what you stand for, and where you're leading them. So where are you going? What's your plan? Nobody wants to follow somebody who isn't clear on who they are and where they're going, because you don't follow a leader if they don't know where they're going. But of course, leaders are the ones who have to go first. That's why they're called leaders. And nobody's going to follow a leader if they don't know where the destination that they're taking them to. And with these times and these changing times that we're in, there's so many different attitudes, so many different influences, so many different points of view. It's really important for you to understand and find out what's your point of view, what's your North Star. Get crystal clear on that, because once you do that, you'll find your tribe. You'll find those people who see the world the same way and want to design a better world for all of us. And there's power in numbers. So as you own your power, bring your power back to yourself, then you find your power bank. You find your tribe and people that come together, and you can energize each other. And you become this powerhouse of positivity and innovation to move forward in the world together for the next generations to come. So I hope that's inspired you and gave you a bit of a lift for the week ahead. Really love for you to spend some time to contemplate all of that. And I'll continue to make my weekly videos. I'm very much fired up around this because I know how important it is, talking about it again at the weekend with friends and family, and especially for women, because we don't often do that work. We're so externalized, but the power of women at the moment is so important. That power of empathy, that power of compassion, that power of our integrity, and the power of love that we have in the world to share is going to transform the world. So have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for listening. Absolutely love you all. You're so amazing, and keep going. You matter. Keep moving, keep shining, keep growing, and I'll see you next week. God bless. Goodbye.